And welcome everyone to another episode of the BB Brains, where not only are we experiencing our first eviction of this week, but also get to mourn the lovely Ashley, who got to also experience for the first time eating a burger, as well as being the first evictee. But how did we get here? What happened, of course, the week that led to this? And what did we miss in the episodes that led to Ashley's inevitable downfall? Well, to start things off here, a lot of it tonight was pretty much given what really happened with Ashley's downfall, unfortunately, because Ashley really did do herself in this week, unfortunately. This is like one of those cases where Ashley had everything set up right in front of her to keep her safe this week. And she saw that and looked to her left and saw, oh, a burger. And then just took that instead of what was in front of her and just forgot to come back to it. But let's just see how this all played out. So, after our premiere, our two-part premiere, if you want to call it, we get the episode starting off with Devon's being conflicted about his relationship with Dee, because essentially the whole episode was just like, are Dee and Devon's on good terms post Survivor 50? And I'll give them credit. They played it off really well with the episode. But I feel like they kind of did a little too much of it personally. It just like to really drag the episode out some, but neither here nor there on that. They had to work with what they got. And, I think a lot of people were tuning in to see Dee, Rick, and Angela because, they know them the most. I know some people will probably be turning in to see Jason, which we'll talk about because, there's some problems there with that guy. But we got him talking about his relationship with Dee and how he feels conflicted on that, how he is worried he might be a target. And then we basically going into then Rome trying slash failing to help Angela in a puzzle for the HOH competition as we just jump into the competition itself for the HOH, which was very on par to what happened in Big Brother 23, where we had the four team captains of the Jokers, the Kings, Queens, and I don't know what the other team was called. I don't think it was the Jacks. Maybe it was the Jacks. I don't know. It was one other team. But either way, it was like you had four people holding the rope while the leader was working on it. And that's essentially what was happening in that competition. And we get a lot of back and forth with that was going on there with, like, again, Angela kind of struggling at the beginning, but we see basically Dee killing it. And you got, like, Lyric and Yash helping her. And then you see Rick, who's kind of just stumbling, really struggling. It just really goes back and forth, back and forth. And, Taylor is also like chiming in how she's very anti Devons. And over the course of this week, you kind of learned that Taylor, Jason, and Lala are kind of very much on the same page of anti vets, where it's like they kind of have this one sided beef, where it's just like Jason has this one sided beef with all the vets, Lala has her one sided beef with Angela, and Taylor kind of has a one sided beef with, I guess, Dee and maybe a few of the other vets. I don't know. It feels very much just like we don't like you because you're a reality TV vets, without the knowledge that Jason is also a reality TV vet. But either way, we get to the end of the comp because, yeah, between Dee and Angela, Angela has like a few pieces left, but Dee basically kills it. She wins the comp and tells her team, like, I got you, you're all safe, which I think was just over her head because it was very clear that she just had no idea what was happening at the moment. She was just like in that moment, which, is understandable. But as the course of the week went on and how next week might play out, it might come to bite her. But we'll see on that. But after that competition, we see Angela knowing and wanting to team up with Rick and Dee because, duh, y'all are the vets that are coming in. So yeah, you should work together. But again, we get more of Devon's just like, I don't know if I trust Dee or not. I don't know if she trusts me, blah, blah, blah. But after that, we get the have not room reveal. And let me tell you, as a person who was a light sleeper, this room would be my hell because I I cannot deal with the creakiness of it. The fact that it's moving, I can deal with. The fact that it's on a wooden platform, it's like whatever. It's not gonna be the worst thing in the world. But the fact that it spins around and creaks every second, that's what's going to kill me. I would be in my own personal hell with that. And yeah, for everyone that's a have not and that's a light sleeper, God help you this season because. And then after that, we get our cast introductions. So we have Latrice noting about crazy eyes in regards to Angela because I mean, how can you not? Got Kaylee, who's a little bit into Kamu, which is kind of funny because she was more interested in Rome in the beginning, but Rome rejected her, which there's like a little bit of some beef there because of that. So interesting stuff on that. And then we got Mallory noting that she's not a rocket scientist yet. She's trying to play it cool, which, for her role, rocket scientist kind of makes the most sense. You don't want to like tell people that you got to deal with rockets on the daily. And we got like Drew and Devin seem like starting a friendship forming. Like Devin's like, I'm gonna be like my Fortnite duo with Drew essentially, and they kind of are essentially in this game. Granted, his duo is more with Dee and Angela than Drew, but it's still pretty close. And then we have Angela notes how she follows Jason, and he notes about his Ainsley cosplay to deflect off of it because he was like panicking, like, I don't want to tell people that I'm from Drag Race. And Angela's like already recognizing him, which is pretty solid. But apparently she's not following him online. She might have just like seen like a few of his stuff from Instagram or something. But it's pretty funny if that were the case and Angela already found out about him. Because I really wonder what that scenario could have been like at that point. Because had Angela known that he was from RuPaul, I wonder if he would then start working with the other vets at that point. Because this week, I feel, and honestly, the coming weeks, Jason's kind of putting himself in an awkward position where he is going to be the enemy of the reality TV vets, along with the aforementioned alliances that are going to be soon announced in this video. So after that, we got Rome and Lyric like googly eyeing each other, and Lyric is like knowing that she doesn't want to bring up her career. Latrice mentioning her age, she's like, "Oh, I'm 30. No, actually, I'm 40. No, I'm 50." She's like 57. I'm like, and everyone's just like, "Dang!" Which I mean, credit where credit's due. Latrice looks amazing for especially being a recent 58-year-old who just turned 58 in the house. Which can I just throw in? Like, I wish I would have thrown this in the episode tonight, but I guess they didn't have enough time. Maybe I might do it for next week. Who knows? But Latrice's birthday was this week in the house, and everyone was like getting everything all ready to celebrate. And in one of the mornings, the morning of the birthday, Taylor was getting all these like flute plastic glasses at the ready while the kitchen was still dark. And the moment that she was bringing the tray down, all the glasses fell, and she's just like, ugh. And then as she was picking them up, the lights in the kitchen were slowly going up, and she was like, just panicking and not knowing what to do, and she just bolts into the bathroom. It's so funny. I really hope that does make the episode or like the clip show at some point because that's a really good moment to start the week off. But then we also then see Barrett and Dee having a little bit of a love connection, and we kind of see that on the feeds. It's not been mentioned on the show yet, but Barrett and Dee have been snuggling a lot, and who knows? Maybe Barrett might be Dee's new Austin. And if that's the case, Barrett, my man, keep your eye on the prize because you remember what Austin did in his season with Dee, and who it did not work out well for him. After that, we got Devin's doubting Britt's story of life, or Ashley's story of life, rather. Sorry, keep mixing Brittany and Ashley up. I don't know why, but he like doubting that she never ate a burger before. But we all know she did now. And then we got Dee mentioning about her and Devin's history, and it's again we got a little bit of like reflection on that, and like he really just shows like yeah, Dee didn't care. She understood it was the game. But later, we got Dee and Angela in the HOH room, and we got Angela giving HOH advice to Dee because, yeah, she was the first HOH, so it kind of makes sense to give her some advice on how to play it out and, not go crazy and tell people crazy eyes and all that fun stuff. And Dee has very much seen Angela. And over the course of this week, D really, I truly do think that D sees Angela as her number one ally, and she's like in a like a one-on-one with the camera, and she's been having a lot of one-on-ones with the camera, which I do appreciate. I don't know what Brandon Donlin told her. I don't know if anyone else told her to do that, but I appreciate whoever did because her one-on-ones with the cameras are just cinema. And like one of hers was telling how she like if you're an Angela hater, well, mm, screw you. So I love that. But after that, we get a little bit of Kamu and Chuck linking up and wanting to work with Haley. Basically, the formation of this Red Corner alliance that is really kind of already like kind of exposed to the house, like even before Ashley was mentioned about it tonight in the episode, because a lot of people were just already catching on to them being the trio, as well as just like the fact that they're not really well liked, though the three of them are like, oh, everyone likes us. Later on, we see Jason and Angela bonding about being a mama bear to him, being around all the straits, which was like a very touching, emotional moment. Only for later this week to see Jason basically just use and abuse Angela for that mama bear mentality to his advantage, only for it to blow up in his face. But again, that we'll see how this situation is going to play out because it could easily just really get Jason in trouble for the rest of the season, or even just get him out this week. But we got to see after that the have not room shown in action with the bed rotation, which again, my personal health, I would not be able to sleep. And after that, we get the whole formation of the red corner with them wanting to grab in the reality TV people, which again, I think is a good call. You want to work with the reality TV vets early in these games. You might want to take them out. Yes, it is very understandable, but I definitely feel like over the course of these next few weeks with this twist, Dee and Devins are probably going to be the first two to get this, maybe even Angela because of the edit this week. But those are the people that are probably going to get like the first twists that are be like votes from America and all this stuff. So I don't know. They're at least working it correctly, even if they're hated by the other side of the house. But we finally get a conversation with Dee and Devins, and they want to work together and infiltrate the Kamu crew. Because again, they were already aware of that. And then basically, like, yeah, us vets, we need to stick together, which no surprise. And then speaking of groups that were kind of short lived, is the Melody, Mallory, and Lyric group, which again, they were like, oh yeah, we're great friends, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's all working. Girls, woo. And it's like in Big Brother, compared to Survivor, you're really ever going to find a successful girl group because 9 times out of 10, something bad is going to happen and it's just going to topple over. And this week, I want to say it was Melody, but you can also say Lyric getting together with Rome on day 2 could have been a factor. Mallory having an emotional breakdown could have been another factor. And there's a lot that just like had everything tear these three apart, but still linger in closeness as we see over the course of the week. But after that, we see Dee infiltrating the right corner group. She's aware that they're pushing an agenda to her, and she's just playing along with them. But, and again, this is why I love Dee and why I was so happy to see her on this cast. Dee is proving why she wants Survivor 45. She's very intellectual. She's very like blunt with the cameras on what's going on. And honestly, I think she is just really in a good position in this game where she has the right corner, she has her crossovers lines, which we're going to see later in this episode. And then on top of that, I feel like she's in good graces of some of the other players. It's just the ones that are like very much anti-vet, like Jason, Lala, and Taylor, and maybe to some extent Yash. Uh, yeah, but then after that, we see the showmance of the season begin with Roman Lyric, and I fear that we're going to be seeing Roman Lyric every episode together in some way, shape, or form. And it's like, I'm okay with showmances, but my God, day 2, y'all couldn't keep it in your pants for one day, for 2 weekdays? Like, come on, have some decorum. and it's like they're kissing and stuff, and it's day two, and you got people like Yash, Brittany, and Mallory like listening in on it in that bedroom and talking about it the next day. It's like you're just like putting yourselves in such a horrible position. And yet, over the course of this week, somehow they're in a better position than some of the other people. It's baffling. This is a weird season starting off, but you know what? I'm okay with how this might turn out. But then after that, we get another formation of an alliance, which is the Crossovers Alliance with Dee, Devin, and Angela, where they then extend into Drew and Barrett, which I think were the right call because they are super fans and they are willing to work with the vets, which is definitely the right call on there. And they also meet up to, but they're then interrupted by Kamu, which Dee spills about the whole Red Corner Alliance, which again shows that Dee is more connected to this group than she is to theirs. She is they're a side alliance, but at least at the very least, at least she has her priorities on crossovers than she does the Red Corner, which I think is the better call because I can easily see like a Red Corner member going this week if they're non-power. I can easily see like someone like Rome and Lyric get broken up. I can also see a combination of Jason, Lala, and Taylor also be nominated because of their anti-bet way. So this situation is going to be very interesting to see who wins it this week. But after that, we have Devins and Angela discuss about the Red Corner, along with Dee and Devins. Then later discussing about how she's not happy with Devin spilling Red Corner to Angela because she wasn't fully aware of that situation. So again, kind of seeing why Dee is a little more reserved, where Devin's a little more chaotic with his gameplay, which again kind of sums it up there for the two of them on how they played on Survivor. And after that, we had Mallory and Dee discuss each other, which was very awkward. Like neither of them were really bringing up game, and it's like I get it from Mallory's perspective. It's like, well, she didn't bring up game with me, so I don't know how to bring up game with her. But it's like she's the HOH. You have to do some form of giving for her to give back. It's not the other way around here. Like some HOHs will do that, but those HOHs are usually not in the best position to do any of that type of stuff and are just trying to put some leniency on their game in that point. But after that, we get the Red Corner and Devins talk about the nominations, and it came for like one person from each group, essentially from Dee's perspective, which Kamu wasn't the biggest fan of because of how that would look. But ultimately, Dee was going for it because, you know, Kamu was pushing for Barrett. Dee was not a fan of that. She told Barrett that information, which is probably why Barrett is very much anti-Kamu. And ultimately, we get to see the nominations be Mallory, Yash, and Taylor. And let me tell you, when we saw the crash out of Mallory going into the veto episode, like there was some stuff that we didn't see, but when the live feeds came on, the night that they were supposed to come on, Mallory was just crashing out the entire day. The whole house was just like, I don't know how to feel about Mallory. Things are not looking good for Mallory. It was like Mallory like kind of was like looking to be like the main person to go out this week if had she not won the veto. Maybe it could have shifted to Yash, but if Yash won that competition still, even with Mallory in it tonight, I don't know what would happen. I think Mallory would still would have gone at that point. But yeah, so that's the Sunday episode. So let's start off yesterday's veto episode. And to that point, like, so that happened over the course of the week. It really is explained in in this episode for the most part because again, the only thing that's missing, and we'll get into that, is the whole Jason and Angela situation of it all. So we start the episode with Mallory crashing out, as I mentioned, and Kamu is confused. Yash is upset, and basically following after that, we got Dee, Devins, and Angela celebrating in the HOH room with Devins just like ah. Which okay, I'll give Devins his tens for that. That was actually kind of funny. And after that, we get our again. It's going to be a segment every episode. Our Lime segment, Lyric and Rome, and it's just yeah, it's just nothing. It's just, it's like more cutesy wootsy stuff, whatever. Um, but we get more information with Melody and Lyric discussing about distancing from Mallory. And again, Melody over the course of this really pushes the distance herself from this. And what was left out for the episode is that Rick Devens was not happy about that. Like he felt very off put by Melody just like throwing Mallory away like that. He just like, I cannot trust someone like that because she is very much like throwing away an ally even before the veto results are in. And it's just like, that's someone you should not trust in this game. And I agree with that. That's like, she really dumped the gun very fast on that. And it just kind of put like a negative light on her in the house. Um, but after that, we get a funny segment of Angela breaking Dee's bathtub. I don't think we saw this on the live feeds. I think this was before live feeds went live. But Dee did mention this in one of her camera talks, and she's like, in Survivor, you don't take baths or anything, and like I'm not even a bath person, but I was just thinking of doing one, and then Angela breaks my bathtub, and we're just like, what? And we got to see it happen. And it's just like, oh, oh, poor Angela. And Angela was just like, I'm so sorry, Dee. Oh, it's so bad though. But it still doesn't top like the Big Brother 20, where like Bessie was talking to Haley in the bathroom, and he was like leaning on a sink, and a sink just went from this to that. So bad. Like that house is fragile, I guess, more fragile than the house guests. Um, so then after that, we get the veto picks, and after that is we get Melody and Barrett picked. Barrett wants to compete, but he doesn't really want to win it or doesn't want to really use it per se. Whereas Melody just doesn't want to use it at all. And even like tells Mallory later in the episode. Also, I am really hoping that Mallory or um, Melody leave at some point because I keep mixing their names up, and it's just like, can just one of the similar sounding names leave first? Like it's just it gets to a point. Um, but in that backyard, we had Yash talking to Dee about the noms and Melody telling Mallory about that whole situation. And again, Yash is just like, I'm gonna do the best to win the competition because I can't rely on Dee, which he is true. I just don't think Yash is in the best position in this game. Like, had Ashley won the competition tonight, Yash would have gone unanimously, just like Ashley would have. So he's definitely in the outs. I don't know what side's going to grab him. Likely it'll be the red corner side. But who knows how that's going to look in the near future. Again, with how the HOH could go, I could see him being as like another pawn again. Um, but yeah, that's what we're getting that situation there. And it's kind of funny too when you were watching these episodes this week. Taylor gets next to no confessionals, even though she was like nominated. But it's kind of very telling, like because Taylor was like really in no danger at all this entire week. Like, yeah, even like the producer was just like, let's just focus on like these two because it's looking very much it's like Yash or Ashley. It's like which I guess good call, but still just have us like see a little bit of Taylor. Like, what if we had like some weird flip and it's just like, oh damn, we had nothing for Taylor. Sorry. But after that, we have a very funny segment about Angela talking about her BB cruise experience with Howie from Big Brother 6 and 7. And people who don't know about the Big Brother cruise, there's a lot of controversy surrounding that. And there's a lot going on with that. If you want to see the history of what went down with all that stuff and how there's still some crazy like meetups and gatherings for BP fans at this time that are using like AI posters, which ew. Um, it's a hot mess. It's a very hot mess. But you know what? I enjoy a hot mess as Angela. And after she told that story, we actually get Howie in the Big Brother house again. Someone I never expected to actually show up on the show, which as a fan of the show that started watching midway into season 5 and then actually watched the show in season 6, seeing Howie, someone that I looked up to so much, like Jedi Howie, like the last man standing of the house against the rest of the women. Was he the best player? No. Was he an entertaining one? Yes. And I was so happy to see him enter the house. But what was even more crazier was that he was telling the house guests. So Dr. Will pulled a Biff from Back to the Future, and it's basically in the future to make a very much eugenics society of sorts, where it's only just the hot people, and we got to change that. We got to get it back to change the future and everything. Wild stuff. But we get into the veto competition to prevent Will, essentially. And it's basically like an interesting pipe competition where literally everyone is going to be trying to connect these pipes to get into the system. And basically, it was like just a yada yada through it. Mallory won. Mallory kicked butt, and she has won herself the veto, and has now put Dean in an awkward position where it's like, well, who do I nominate now? um, yeah. So for that, after that though, we got um, Ashley, Melody, and Haley talk about how Ashley might be the one to likely go up, which I'm not surprised by, because if the logic was like Dee's nominated someone from each and every group, then the last group that remains was Ashley and Barrett, which you know, good on Ashley to at least jump on that ahead of time, but the way that it was approached is unfortunately like moot at that point because she was going to go up no matter what because they were going to put up Barrett in anyway. And then we get the segment that was the talk of the week, which was Jason and Angela, where Jason and Angela are cuddling, and Jason is like confiding to Angela about his dead mother and how he sees her as the mother figure. And then as she leaves the room, he rolls his eyes and it's just like, oh, screw Angela. I don't care for her, blah, blah, blah. I'm using her in this. I'm just like using my dead mother to help entice her to work with me. And it's disgusting to say the least. But are we surprised by that? Because it's not the first time someone's done it in the Big Brother house. I mean, we had Matt Hoffman like Fane talking about his wife dying, and we had and then for the Survivor fans, it's like we had Johnny Fairplay talk about his grandma who was dead when she wasn't. Uh, the thing is though with Jason, and it's a very interesting thing with him, or horrible thing, whichever you want to call it. He is very much like using Angela and hating on Angela, but weirdly enough, he hates more on Rick Devens because not only was he faking stuff with Angela, but he was also faking stuff with Devens because this week was Devens' daughter's birthday. And he was like, let's make some slop Rice Krispie cakes for him and to celebrate for his daughter. And they all got into a group to say happy birthday to her on the feeds. And the fact that he did all this and it was just like talking mad trash about Devins and all that while like trying to, entice him kind of just shows Jason's personality. It's very two-faced, very cutthroat, which respect is where respect due. If you're gonna be like that for a Big Brother player, do it. But the fact that Jason is doing all this, and it very much feels like he's trying to pander for fan votes for America's favorite player, he's not doing it well. If you're playing the villain role, you're not going to get votes for the people because you are the villain, and no one's going to support the villain unless there's like a worse villain. If it's like Big Brother 19 vibes, people were reluctantly voting for Cody and Jessica because everyone hated Paul more. But it's a very bad situation, and I would respect it more for Jason had he not told anyone of this. This is something you take to your grave or bring up in the final two, depending on how the jury would feel on this. This is something you don't bring up week one when people can easily throw you under the bus come week two, when they're like everyone's still trying to get a feel for the game. And the fact that he goes up to Drew and Melody, who at this point, Drew and Melody have their own thing together. They kind of have like a final two alliance of sorts. It's kind of real to Melody, but not as real to Drew. We'll see where that goes over the course of the game, but they have that type of connection. And the fact that Jason was trying to get into that and bring that information up, Drew was like, awesome. I'm going to tell all these vets about it, which, later in the episode, we see him do. And he brings it up to Devins and Angela, who are just pissed about it, obviously. And credit where credit is due to Angela. Like, say what you want about her, but she has truly learned from last season that she was on. She, if this was old school Angela from 26, she would have confronted him immediately, getting Drew in trouble and everything, and like she mentioned in the episode. And I think she is truly trying her best because over the course of this week, she is like fighting all the demons inside of herself not to lash out, not to get super paranoid, not to do all this crazy stuff. And I have to respect her because she is doing everything in her power to do it. She's not trying to be crazy eyes Angela. She is trying to be Angela, the big brother player this year. And I have to give her tens. Like I respect Angela for that. And I love the fact that she is really trying hard to do the best that she can to be a game player first, entertainment second, and I gotta respect that. So after all that is said and done, and all the tea was spilled essentially about Jason, we then get a segment about Lala and her body and how somehow she just keeps hurting herself despite being in the greatest shape of her life, which is just like, goddamn, girl, your knees just hate you. But it's just like, again, like I mentioned, you're 58 years old and you're just like a freaking like just track star. Like I hope to have a body like that at 58. I hope to have a half the body like that at 58. Like body goals right there. But yeah, then after that, we get like the whole Ashley D discussion, and essentially, Ashley was trying to pitch for Barrett. It kind of fails, and we get to the veto ceremony where Melody uses the veto on herself, and Dee puts up Ashley. Yeah, bada bing, bada boom. That's yesterday's episode. And then tonight, like I said, we lose Ashley 14-0. And with how tonight's episode went, it essentially summed up everything that was leading up to the eviction tonight. Because really, it was Ashley's mouth that did it. Yes, there was some coercion of that side to like have Ashley make it sound like she is in like a good position going to the eviction tonight, but it wasn't like tell everyone who's going to vote to keep her. It's not that. You don't bring up the names of everyone you're voting to people to get other votes. No, you that's like just gonna kill your game. But yeah. So with the episode starting off, we have Dee, Drew, and Yash talking about Dee wanting Yash gone, or about rather about the gender ratio. Again, weird conversation to be having this in front of Dee of all people, but whatever. But they want to use, but Dee wants Yash gone because she wants Red Quarter to not have him as a shield, and literally, like just like a few segments later, we literally see a conversation about like Red Quarter wanting to use Yash's shield. So Dee was very spot on with that. And then we got Taylor, Jason, and Lala, who I feel like are like in a trio that's not confirmed, but they are a trio. Basically discussing about vote, and now Taylor's just like, yeah, I feel like I'm the safest. Like I don't care who I'm next to. I think I'll be fine no matter what. Which she's not wrong. And after that, we got Lyric and Melody talking. They think Red Corner is the other side, like not knowing parts of the crossovers and everything. And they need to make another group, which kind of was like putting Angela on edge because she was seeing like all these people going up to the gym, which she's not wrong because we got Jason, Lala, and Rome forming Mama's Angels, which who knows how legit that alliance is going to be in the future. They made it, but I just haven't seen much discussions of it since the alliance formed. Game's still early. We'll see where that goes. But Angela's like, I'm going to stir the pot. I'm going to try to do what I can. And so she goes up to Kamu, which is, again, giving some respect to Angela. She went up to the right person because he's then going to go to not Angela, go to Dee to basically discuss about this other alliance thing and see what they can do. And they're basically Dee is like, well, maybe we should consider combining these two alliances together to form a side, which I'm not the biggest fan of Kamu, Chuck, and Haley, but it is very much looking like it's going to be a split house, and I feel like this is what's going to be the divided house at this point. With I personally, like at first I thought Drew and Bear were more middle, but it's looking more like Drew is in now in that middle position, where Barrett's leaning more towards that other side of D and the alliance that is the right corner and crossovers. But as after that, we basically have Ashley D, Drew, and Angela push Ashley to get the votes, whereas like they're telling them, yeah, here's the votes and stuff. And Ashley gets in her head like, well, I'm just going to tell some of these other people to just, vote unanimously with us. So that way they're not left out. And this is like a perfect textbook example of loose lips sink ships, because the fact that she told Melody this, like unprovoked, really, it just led to the downhill spiral of her just like ending her game at that point. Because then Melody is then approaching all these people, and that it just blows up. She goes to Barrett, she goes to Drew, they go to the other parts of their alliance, and it's just like, yeah, we can't work with Ashley at this point. It's a moot effort. She has to go, and she went from a position where she was in probably like the best spot in the game to stay tonight to she's gone no matter what if she loses the blockbuster. So that's where that went, and that's essentially how it looked for the rest of the week. So going to that blockbuster where it was similar to the one in 26 where Chemo won, which was again funny because again Angela's first week of HOH and her being back for the first week in this game, and it's that same challenge. Kind of funny, but yeah. Of the people that showed up the most in that screen that was picked, it was Mallory and Yash was the one to correctly guess it, having him win the competition, leaving I keep saying Brittany. I don't know why. It is the first week. I'm just still razzled by this cast. Leaving Ashley and Taylor on the block against each other, where everyone says, Ashley, I choose to evict you. Although Kamu, Shaylee says Drew, which keep an eye on that. I don't know if he just said that as a joke or he's got Drew in his radar. Not 100% there. And when Ashley left the house, like one of Julie's questions, she asked her, it's like, what do you think like caused you to leave tonight? She's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what really did me in. I'll have to watch it back and see. And it's like, oh, Ashley, poor sweet summer child. It's like you could have just sat there and looked pretty and had another burger, but no. And now, literally, the one person that Ty and I thought was going to be the first out, which we were so close to being right about, shifted to me having my Chicago girlie be the first boot of the season. You hate to see it, but it's how the game goes, And Julie ended off the night by telling the house guests that yes, there is a twist this season where America's going to vote each week for a potential power or a disadvantage for the person that is chosen that week. And it's only one person each week and never again moving forward for that person. Which I can immediately think Jason in his head is like, I need to take out all these vets. Don't worry, Jason, though. You're not going to get a vote for sure. You're not going to get it. So, yeah, that's the week of Big Brother. And quite honestly, everything for the feeds was kind of spot on for the episodes. Everything was just very vanilla for the most part. The only thing I really wish they could have shown is just like Angela struggling not to go crazy. I mean, we got glimpses of it, but there were some that were just like her struggling. So just like last season, I did my week rankings for this cast, and for this cast is no exception. So we're just going to work our way up from the bottom to the top here. So on the bottom, on number 17 is obviously Ashley. She was the one evicted. No doubt there. After her, I think it's Haley. Haley is not well liked by the house. I can see her being like the next one evicted. And it's just like, she just doesn't mesh well with anyone. She has horrible conversations with everyone. She's not well liked. She just doesn't really vibe with any of the women. It's just, I can see her really much going next. And after her is Melody. Like, Ashley like was the renom, but Melody, everything that she was doing this week with her distance throw from Mallory and everything, would had her this close to being the renom and actually being the next target because it was very much looking bad like that. But there were some reassurances from Drew, I think, that felt really saved her. I think ultimately at the end of the day. Um, After her at 14 is Jason. He is putting himself in a horrible position. Like, if no one from his side wins the HOH, he is getting thrown under the bus so fast that he is just going to be on the block. And if he stays on the block, he is gone. There's just nothing there. The only positives I can give him is like, unlike Melody, who really just has Drew, Jason at least has some people on his side. He has Lala, he has Taylor, he has some of Rome. So there's building blocks for him. Do I think they'll still save him? Probably not, especially if he's up against those said allies. After Jason at 13 is Yash. Yash is going to be an enigma going into next week. I don't know where his position lies in this game because he's such a non-entity. I mean, had Ashley stayed instead of Yash tonight, she would have been in his spot because they're both such non entities in the game. You don't know what way they're going, but quite honestly, they're still on the bottom. And like I stated before, I can easily see Yash being just a replacement nom, or just like a regular nom for a lot of these nominations moving forward. And then after him at 12 is Mallory. Mallory did save herself with the veto, and she has been at least gaining a little bit of traction afterwards, but that crash out has distanced some people from her. I mean, again, with Melody, not many people were really wanting to work with her because of those crash outs. And but maybe with her, recovering from that and having like a win from the veto competition might help her a little bit moving forward. It could be like a whole Ashley situation from last year where she won the veto and no one wanted to put her upstairs because everyone was afraid that she might win a competition. Could be in that same situation. Um, and then after her at 11 is Chuck. Chuck is likely the second target of the Red Corner Alliance. After Haley, I think Kama's put himself in a better social standing in the house compared to him. And I think if Chuck was up against Haley, there could be some back and forth of like who could go home potentially. More so would be Haley, but I could see some scenarios where Chuck could be in some danger, and he still thinks has some power in this game when really he does not. And then after him at number 10, I'm putting Lala. Lala to me is the bottom of the three. Well, let me rephrase that. Like the most likely of the bottom of the three to have the least influence in the house, but at least still have more safety over Jason. But again, if Jason were to win the veto or the blockbuster and she's on the block still, I can see her going because of her physical prowess alone. And then after her is Taylor at 9, because again, just like how she has not much of an entity around the house, Taylor also doesn't. Again, it's a very awkward situation. We're seeing like trios, duos, and like building blocks of alliances forming in this first week. And Taylor's kind of in like that awkward middle spot where it's just like she has some ground to build traction for her game, but she's really hitched herself more to Lala and Jason, which could easily drag her down. So I'm just putting her in this position right now because it's very awkward at this time. And after her at 8 is Lyric. Lyric to me has potential in this game. I think she has some decent grounds with players because unlike Melody, who has put herself in a bad position, she's still in good stands with both Melody and Mallory. And on top of that, she has Rome, who has some connections uh, to Jason, Taylor, and Lala. So I think she's in good standing. And again, if she's next to any of those people, I would see her staying over them. So she's in a decent position. She just needs to have more footing in the game to rise up in the ranks personally. And then after her is Kamu at 7. Like he is probably the safest of the red corner lines. The only way I can see him ever being in danger is if like Chuck or Haley win the veto and the other wins the blockbuster. If all three of them were nominated, because then at that point there's a good chance that likely Kamu would be the target. So we'll see where that goes. But that's like a lot of factors to consider for him to be in that spot. And I think he's still in a good social standing that he actually might still hold well in the game despite all of that. And then number six is Rome. Rome, I think, is probably like in the best position of the opposite side that's not crossovers and the right corner because he has strong social games with those people from the side. He has, I think, probably going to have a good, strong physical game to work with. And I do believe with his showmance with Lyric, it might put some of the target on him, but it might also get some benefit of like seeing like, well, they'll vote as a pair. You never know in this situation. But I think he is in a decent position right now. And let's see how that new alliance he made with Lala and Jason could work out. Maybe it might build up to something, especially if one of them wins HOH this week. And then after that is Angela at number five. Something I thought I would never say, but here we are. Angela, again, she has been holding back on crashing out, which again, credit where credit is due there. I think Angela is doing everything in her power to play a more social game. And I have to respect that for her. And I think she is doing well. She is making bonds with people. Literally, with all the Jason stuff, even though she's aware of how much of a scoundrel Jason is, she's still being friendly with them this week. She's still being friendly with all the people that she is like very much paranoid about. And I think ultimately she is in a good position. I think of all the people that would be nominated, do I think she would be voted out over Devins? I don't think so. Voted out over D, that could be a little bit of a toss up there. But I think she's in a decent position. And I think she could do well moving forward. After her at four is Drew. Like I said, Drew, I think, is in the best position of like the middle ground players. I think he is very much in good standings with everyone at the moment, though that that Drew vote from Kamu has me a little worried, but again, could just be a joke. But he has some good graces. My only drawback with him is that he is giving the veterans too much information. I feel like he is doing everything in his power to help the veterans to a point where it becomes a detriment to his game. And I feel like that could bite him in the ass and come toward like a certain week if when they're not in power. And that could be very scary for him. But then after that, at three, I have Barrett. Of all the newbies, I think Barrett is in the best position. I don't think anyone wants him out. I don't think anyone wants to really target him. Yeah, he's like snuggling up with D, but it's nothing on a level that no one's really talking about. That's like kind of a little like, oh, they're in a showmance type of conversation. And I think he has good standings with the veterans. I think he has very much like strong relations with everyone in the house to a point where I think he's just going to be standing pretty well going further in the game. So good on Merritt there. But yeah, like no shock at number two is Devins. I think Devins, he's proven me wrong in a lot of ways. I might not be the biggest fan of him in his Survivor game, but at the very least right now for his Big Brother game, he's giving me a lot of what I want from him. He's definitely playing a very much a strong social game. He's playing it very calmly. He's not going chaotic yet, but at the very least, he's proving himself to me that okay, you are playing strong, you are playing slow, you are not going overboard what you're doing, you're not going over the top. So kudos to him for what he's doing. And I think he's in a strong position right now. There's a few factors that could put him in danger, but those are some rare factors. Like the only person I think will really just be a damage to his game is if Jason wins HOH, but we'll see how that's going to play out. And then obviously at number one, it's D. Like, how can you not put D at number one this week? She is running this whole game right now. She has control of the right corner. She has control of the crossovers. And in some extension has all the knowledge of what's going on in the house. So kudos to D. And on top of that, who's going to take her out? I feel like she's going to be in such a strong position that she will hold the votes no matter what, even if she is nominated next week. So that's who I have for my rankings for the first week of Big Brother. Am I upset that Ashley's gone? Yes. Am I understanding of why she's gone? Unfortunately, so. But, you win some, you lose some. And unfortunately, it's like sometimes you just have to pick the first boot and think they had potential. What can you do? But, I may be a BB brain, but this brain is a little razzled still from, some smoky air that we're dealing with at the moment from the Canadian fires. Whew. So if you're experiencing that, people, stay inside, mask up, just do whatever you can to avoid all that. But yeah, my name is Kyle Dorr. I am the BB Brain, and I will see y'all next week as we see what best is going to unfold for week 2 of Big Brother 28. Later, everyone.